You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
AfterBuzz TV presents Chatting with Cathy. Sit-down interviews with Hollywood's leading actors, artists, and entrepreneurs. And now, your host of Chatting with Cathy, Cathy Kelly.
Hello everyone, Bing is for doing, and today we're doing another after show for Chatting with Cathy. I'm your host, Cathy Kelly, and joining me today is dancer turned actor. He was the runner-up in So You Think You Can Dance Season 7, and now stars in Teen Beach Movie on Disney Channel. Thank you so much for being here, Kent Boyd.
Thank you for having me.
So you narrowly escaped a parking ticket right before we taped.
Good day.
But how's your day going?
It's
so
going
far?
great.
Yeah?
It's, bright and early and having a good one.
Cool. So let's go back to the very beginning. You started dancing at a very young age. What originally got you into it?
Funny story. I was really involved in sports and kind of did all that. But my mother was like, you have so much energy. I need to get you out of the house, and it needs to not be something that's seasonal, because sports were, either in the fall or just in the summer. She's like, I need something all year round to get you out of the house. And so she just knew a friend of a friend and got into dance, and it was all year round, and I was in class like after school every day, and got to get rid of some of my energy and all that kind of stuff. So it was all because of my mom.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And your siblings dance as well? Your little sister dances?
Yeah, my sister dances. My older brother did for a year because it was kind of cool, and did hip hop and in the summer finale shows and all that kind of stuff. But he didn't stick with it very much. But yeah, my sister is a senior in high school, and she's still dancing at the studio that I grew up in.
Cool. And you grew up in Wapakoneta, Ohio. Right. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You did.
Okay. So very small town, rural, lots of farms. What was family life like growing up?
It was awesome because we were so tight knit, and it was I went to a public school K through 12, and in my graduating class there was 34 kids, and you just knew everybody, and so you could walk down the street, and you could, growing up I lived in town right across from the post office, so I literally got into my bike and I could hang out with 12 of my classmates or anybody of my friends and get a kickball game going or a baseball game, and so it was an awesome town to grow up in. Very small, so it wasn't a lot of opportunities dance-wise and all that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't change, my growing up and all the awesome stories that I got to do as a kid. I had a really great childhood.
Yeah. How often do you get to go home now?
I go back every Christmas, but this Christmas is really exciting because my brother's having his first child, and so I'm going to be an uncle, which is weird, but that's going to be a fun little party the Boyd family will be having. But I usually go back around Christmas and usually the 4th of July, which kind of sometimes works out every year that I end up going back for that.
Yeah. So did you grow up on a farm, or there were just farms in your town?
Yeah, just farms in my town.
Okay.
I didn't live on a farm, but right next to us, I lived right next to a cornfield, and my school was really into agriculture and 4-H and all that kind of stuff, so I knew a lot about it, and the fairs and all that kind of stuff. We grew up, and all my friends would show cows or pigs or all this kind of stuff, which was normal talk for us, and selling steers and da-da-da and all that, and you come out here and what is that? But yeah, so that's kind of the lifestyle that we kind of grew up in, and people, don't leave hometown. They kind of stay there with their families and kind of just grow up there because they love it so much.
Mm-hmm. So you auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance in Chicago.
Yep.
You drove all the way there.
Yep.
So what was the deciding factor in auditioning?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because a week before I was in Chicago auditioning for Juilliard.
Oh, really?
And so that was my dream.
Yeah.
And I literally went into the audition and 15 seconds in got cut. They didn't even look at me. And so I was devastated. That my whole life I was this is what I want to do, and they didn't give me the time of day. I didn't have the recommendations. I didn't know anybody. So I was kind of I don't know what's going to happen with my future and all that kind of stuff. And so my mom was like, well, you're 18. I was like, all right, well, let's just go give it a try. They're going to be in Chicago next week, and it's a 4-hour drive or whatever. And so we were just let's do it again. And so, my cousins came along, and it was kind of an experience. We were just not expecting anything. I was just all right, well, my college plans didn't really work out the way that I wanted to, so you might as well give this a chance and try and see what kind of comes from it. So there was really no expectations. I was kind of going into it, looking at it as an experience and trying to get as much knowledge from the audition process because I've never done anything. It was one of my first auditions ever.
Yeah. And So You Think You Can Dance produces so much incredible talent. Like, there are just so many talented people on the show. And I remember, watching the audition phase, you had no expectations of even making it past the Vegas auditions.
Right. I mean, I didn't even know what really kind of went on when I auditioned in Chicago, and then I ended up getting the ticket, and I was just, my teachers and everybody kind of knew, and a camera crew came to my hometown, and so that kind of like blew it up, and I was like, wow, this could be something. But I still went into it just being like, okay, I really don't know. I don't know how I rank to the other dancers. I don't know how I am compared to them because I haven't ever danced this level or this caliber before.
Yeah. And obviously from being on the show, your following grew. I think I looked it up, and there are 10,000 people that live in Wapakoneta, and you have over 150,000 followers on Twitter now.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Was there a point where you knew that you had, this following, this kid from middle of nowhere, Ohio, has this following that's international?
Yeah, I don't think that there was a point where I was just like, whoa. I think that there was like a point where I was on the show and like just realizing that I was like the normal kid, like watching it. Because I remember, I've been to tours. I've been to like season 4 tour and, watching Twitch and Katie Sheen and all these people. I was like, wow, I can do this. I can do this. And then the whole time, what I wanted to share with people is that you can do this. Like, I am nothing special. I'm the average kid who did the studio training, who worked really hard, who sacrificed a lot. But that doesn't mean, like, I just wanted to bridge the gap between the viewers and the actual dancers themselves. I wanted them to believe that they could do it because I really think that they can. Mm-hmm. And so I think people really, that was, like, my intention throughout the whole process is like, whoa, I can't believe I just did that. If I can do that and I freaking get a C in math, then you can, you can do it too. And so I think people kind of gravitated towards that energy of just being like, oh, this kid is just like me, or this kid just really loves to dance. And that's basically what it comes down to.
It's really about the hard work and passion.
Yeah. And you have to have a little bit of charisma and all that kind of stuff that goes into it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that the judges loved so much was your personality and your charisma.
Which I think came from my hometown, which came from, the small upbringing, the really being social and walking down the street and being, just really talkative and just pretty much happy. And I think that really, so I'm really grateful because so many times I looked at my hometown like a burden, like, oh, I didn't get the opportunities that these other dancers got. But then in the long run, I think that it helped me because it gave you kind of that extra thing that other people don't have. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that I want to like share with people is that use what you have, and even in like the situations where you think that it's negative or that it's hurting you, it's probably, if anything, it's making you special, it's making you different. And so that's something that I kind of learned as I grew up is that, wow, that my hometown made me special. The upbringing that I had, my family, the agriculture, the camping trips, all these things that aren't so normal for people out here were very normal for me.
That's what shaped you.
Yeah, just like living life, being like a normal kid.
So do you think if you hadn't made it on So You Think You Can Dance, what would you have done?
I would have went to Marymount Manhattan in New York. So I would have went to New York and
danced there?
Yeah, I was going to go to college there. I got accepted into that program, and I was about to pay my first tuition bill and then went out. So you think, but who knows? I don't know if I would have got caught up in the Broadway scene or if I would have made it out to LA. But I know that my family wasn't too fond of me moving out to Los Angeles because it was so far away. So if it wasn't for the show, I don't know what would have happened.
And now you have moved
out
to LA.
And now I'm like, now I live here, and I don't know if I ever want to move.
Yeah, so what was your favorite part about the whole experience being on the show?
Oh, I think the best part about it was working with all the choreographers and then the dancers themselves, the top 10 or the top 11 of season 7, and then touring after it. So I think the best part about it was all the connections and all the friends and all like the great experience you got, doing live performances week after week, and then the pressure and then the stress and then the joy and the triumph of finishing a challenge. I think it was like a boot camp that I got to go through, or like a buffet, and I got really fed and really fit. So it was good.
Great analogy.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite dancer to work with?
On my season?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Well, when I came back for season 8, I loved working with Sasha, so that was really fun. But I loved working with Lauren, obviously. Yeah. We did that prom piece together.
You had a very memorable dance
right,
together,
and we were very much the same age and very similar in, how we look at life and everything, so it was really fun to finally work with her.
Cool. So how did your family react and how did your town react since you came from a small town when they learned that you were going to be on the show?
God, they went crazy. I even, like, when I finished the show and came back, I had, like, a whole parade. I didn't get in till, like, 4 a.m.
You had a parade?
Yeah, a parade, and they had, like, a national holiday, which just kind of passed. They, like, changed the name from Wapakoneta to Wapakenteta on, like,
What?
2010, whatever the date was. It was, like, yeah, and I got the key to the city. I mean, they were ecstatic.
Yeah.
And there's, like, YouTube clips of me, like, coming to my home school and, like, talking to, like, you know, an assembly or, like, a whole gym filled of, like, 2,000 people, just, like, being like, hey, thanks so much for the support. They really believed in me, and they just were really proud. I think it kind of, like, made the small, tight-knit group even a little bit more tighter and stronger and just full of joy.
Yeah,
It's cool.
they're all very excited.
Yeah,
for
they
you,
were
obviously.
super happy.
Does your family tease you at all for Wapakenteta?
No, but I recently, because, like, literally, like, big news there is that they just got, like, a Dollar General. So, I know, right? And so, like, my mom was like, we just got a Dollar General. And I was
love
like,
it.
that is so weird. And so I went back home not too long ago, and I went to the Dollar General and, you know, pulled out a magazine, and it was like a pop or like a tiger beat, and there my photo was. And they made me sign all the copies in there. And,
Oh my
and
gosh.
like, literally you call, like, one person finds out, and then 5 seconds later, there's 15 people there that you know. And they just all came to the Dollar General. We all just, like, hung out in the aisles.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So when you go home, you also you go back to the studio that you
Yes.
trained at, and you teach there
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, I just went back. I always do, my sister, so it's her senior year, I always kind of do their small contemporary group there, and I choreograph and I teach with the kids and, like, spend, like, 6 hours in the studio and just kind of, you know, give them any kind of type of knowledge that I can and pass on, and also choreograph, which is really fun to get to work with those girls that I, you know, knew since they were, like, 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun.
And she made a YouTube video where she said you were a little tough on her when you go back and teach
Oh
her.
my! I made her cry. I make her cry
What?
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm very tough, I guess, and especially to her because she knows I love her, so she knows where it's coming from. So I'm just like,
And you know her potential.
right. And so I'm very, very hard because I'm just like, I believe in you, but I would rather be pushed than to, like, not be told the truth. So I sometimes do a little too much and push them too far. But you know what Kelly Clarkson said: "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." So no, yeah, but she's great. She's a fine young woman. She's gonna do great things.
After So You Think You Can Dance, you moved to Los Angeles, or after the tour, rather.
Yes.
What was your family's reaction to that, since you are so
Yeah, they didn't care. They're just like, do what your thing, and then I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and then they're just very supportive, and they're just like, yes, go have fun, and you know, they raised me right, so they don't have any hesitations or whatever. You know, they still check in like family members do, and they always complain that I don't tell them enough, but it's good. They were good. They were just
Yeah.
like, yeah, go.
Do you Skype them, call them a lot?
I am bad.
Really?
I don't Skype them, but I call them, and I text my mom a lot, and so we kind of keep in touch, and especially with the new baby coming along, she, like, calls me up and tells all the, like, you know, what she's feeling because she's about to be a grandma. So
Is she nervous?
yeah, I think she is. And my brother lives in Tennessee, so I think it's kind of hard for her too because she's gonna be so far away from the baby right when it's born.
Yeah.
But she's a preschool teacher, so she loves kids, but she's excited for it. But
Do they ever come
nervous.
out here to visit?
Yeah, they did a lot when the show came, but they haven't since because it's just a lot of money for, like, the whole family
Yeah.
of the 5 people to come out here. So I just end up going home. But they keep talking. They want to come out here, and I was just like, all right, well, come when you want to come. You know, when you get off your jobs and all that kind of stuff.
So what was the transition like going from rural Ohio to
Out
this
here in Los
huge
Angeles,
city?
it was rough. I think for the first year, it was really hard for me, especially being in the industry and having your friends and dealing with the competition of friends, and then also dealing with the business and auditioning. It was a lot for me to handle. It was kind of like that change from when kids go to high school to college. I kind of skipped that and went right from high school to real life and, like, hardcore, like, in the industry and auditioning, and then getting no's and getting a lot of feedback on how to, like, be better and all this kind of stuff. So, and I took it really hard because I'm very much a perfectionist in my craft. But I think for that first year, it was like, you know, you have to take time to find your friends. You have to take time to settle in and enjoy the process. Because I'm very much like, I want to do it now. I want to do it correct now. And there are a lot of things, especially with acting, it takes time. And, you know, with dance, you can see where you need to improve. It's very visceral. You can see it right in front of you. Where with acting, it's kind of like a preference thing. And it's also a growth thing where you have to like allow it to happen. You can't force it a lot. So I think that was just kind of like going through all those things. It was really challenging. So it was just kind of like the first year was just like, whoa, all these changes. But now, you know, it takes, and then you find your friends, you find your group, you find your groove, you find, you know, like your little things to keep you sane. Because for the longest time, I'm like, I want to be.
I love that because that's how I talk about it too. You need to stay sane when you're living here.
Because you just think like, oh, I just want to be surrounded by artists and people who understand me. And then you get out here and that's all you have. And you're just like, whoa, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. There's a lot of judging. There's no like set social infrastructure where like you have those built-in friends from your hometown or from college or whatever. You're kind of just thrust into it.
Yeah, and I didn't have any of that, you know, because a lot of people, if they went to college, they kind of came out here and they knew a couple people or all that kind of stuff. So I didn't really know anybody except for, you know, the 10 people that were on So You Think, and some of the people that I made through that connection, which was great. And that if I didn't have that, I don't know what would have happened. But yeah, it was rough. But then, you know, you get over it and you get past that year and you start, you know, doing the things you love and you realize how beautiful of a city it is and how many opportunities are just right at your fingertips. You just have to go and do them.
Yeah. How did you originally get into acting?
Well, I was always into musical theater growing up and doing shows in my high school and all that kind of stuff. But I found my manager through the show, who also represents Cathy, and she came up to me. She's like, you have something. And she's like, do you want to act? I was like, yeah, I want to act. You know, and all these things that I never thought were possible until opportunity presented itself. And so she came up to me and I was like, yeah. And so we've been on this journey for about 2 years together, and she's been my manager ever since, and just sending me out auditions and been in class and studying and all that kind of stuff. So it was awesome how that kind of panned out, but I love it so much. I think I really enjoyed it. I think that doing it, I just realized that how much of an artist that I am, that I'm not just a dancer, I'm very much a storyteller. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I love dance is because it can tell stories in way that we can't when we're just talking here. You're moving your bodies and it's kind of connects to a different part of your soul. And now I've done that so much of my life, I'm like, wow, I really want to connect to like the words and the actual things people are saying to each other, and being present with a person and being like normal, and just kind of diving into those challenges now that I'm not really like staying in front of someone and like moving my body and lifting them 50 feet in the air. I'm just like standing in front of them and talking to them. And so it's really fun that I get to tell stories like that now, and I'm working on that.
And you've had some great roles so far. You auditioned for ABC Family's Bunheads, and then they ended up writing a role for you. You played Jordan.
Yes.
And then you were in Shake It Up, and now you're in Teen Beach Movie.
Which is another funny story, how the audition process kind of happened. Because, you know, I went in for...
You went in 4 or 5 times, right?
Yeah, and I started out as a dancer. And so I knew Christopher Scott. He was the choreographer of Teen Beach. He also worked on So You Think. And I got the call when I was back home in Ohio over Christmas. I was like, Puerto Rico? Whoa. Like, I want to do this. And, you know, my agents emailed them, and they got me into the callback and then got the role as one of the skeleton crew. And the director would come in a lot because he was really involved in the dancing, Jeffrey Hornaday, who was awesome. And I was like, hey, I act. And he's like, you do? I was like, yeah. And so I went in like 4 or 5 different times of just going in for different parts. It was a biker, surfer, da-da-da. They didn't know where they wanted me, but I was like, I want to act in this, you know. And finally in Puerto Rico. So I flew already to Puerto Rico. I didn't have the part yet, but I knew that I was up for it.
Really?
Either for Seacat or for Rascal, or, you know, it would have been awful if I found out and I didn't get any, but, you know, that's how it kind of goes sometimes. And then he brought me in and he was like, you got the part. And I was like, woo! But it was just really cool how you just have to put yourself out there and ask and not be afraid and just be like, hey, I act. And he's like, all right, well, then come in and do it. And then worked really hard in those auditions and trying to like get the role and being funny and crazy and whatever, and got it. So it was cool to kind of climb your way up the ladder, which seems to be a common thread of my life.
And that's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize is in LA, sometimes you just have to make yourself available for those opportunities to present themselves. Because,
for sure.
I mean, had you not gone there, had you just been like, well, they didn't pick me, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, it would have been, it's all about your mindset, and it's all about being open, because if you're not open, then you're not going to allow any of those opportunities to kind of manifest inside or do or whatever. But yeah, so it was a cool little experience, and it was crazy how it all panned out. And now that it, you know, 18 or 17 or 13, I don't even know how many millions of views it had, but it did so well, and it's kind of becoming like a little global phenomenon, and hopefully it, you know, the franchise just grows.
And so many people, I mean, it was very well received,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are wondering whether there will be a sequel because it was kind of left open for that. So have you heard any news about that possibility?
I've heard rumors, but I think we all kind of heard rumors, and
You're
I think
just excited.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I think you kind of just go into the project and you go, okay. The fact that it was aired, because so many times you film something and then it doesn't air, all this kind of stuff, and the fact that it actually went through and it did so amazing, that's the best thing that can happen. And now you can't like really worry about the future, even though like I hear buzz and I'm just like, what's going on? And then it's just like, all right, I just gotta let it go and just see what happens. And if you're supposed to be in it, you're supposed to be in it. But hopefully,
Yeah.
it did really well, and it was super fun, and the dancing and the 60s and it's so smart of Disney to bring that whole like teen beach party back, because I think that generation, like my mom grew up with that, with all that kind of stuff, and it's so smart to like reintroduce this to kids modern day, and I think that they really, really loved it, and I think that they could explore even like greater things, like if they went into different decades, or if they went into the present day, or back to the past, or anything. These kids are kind of like Back to the Future time travelers, and so they could kind of go wherever you wanted to, and really not only be really fun, but kind of give some great knowledge to kids about our past, which tells us about where we are now.
Yeah. So you got the role of Rascal. Which other roles did you audition for?
I think I auditioned for every other role, like Butchie, Sea-Cat,
Really?
Lugnut, like all of them.
And that was all in LA when you
Yep.
auditioned?
Yep.
And you didn't get it until you got out there.
Right. And they were also auditioning my buddy Will, who was a dancer as well, but he auditioned in Puerto Rico. So I got Rascal, and then still like Lugnut and all those people were open, and then finally, or something like that. But I knew that he had went to Puerto Rico and auditioned, where I had already auditioned a couple times in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then Jordan didn't even, who played Sea-Cat, Jordan Fisher, didn't come. He didn't get the part until we were in Puerto Rico, and then they flew him out, and then we found out about Molly and all those people, and slowly like the little pieces kind of assembled, which was kind of last minute, but crazy how they kind of do it.
And it was obviously a young and very fun cast.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any memories from that?
Oh man, we were in Puerto Rico for 2.5 months, and we were right on the beach, and we got to experience a different culture and Old San Juan and all these amazing foods and all. But we had a lot of really fun time on the beach, and we got kayaks, and I spent a lot of time with Chrissy Fitz. She was one of my best friends. She played Chi-Chi on it. But we would go out and adventure, and it was so fun. And like I remember one of the days we all went like kayaking, and like Ross and all these people, and we were kayaking under a bridge, and all the locals like got out of school. So like all these Puerto Rican kids are there, and like right when they get out of school, they're like, they take their backpacks off, and they're like just jumping off bridges and into the water, and just like it was just cool to kind of see the way they live, and how like it was just cool to be a part of that.
Did you pick up any Spanish when you were there?
Oh yes.
What can you say?
I only picked up inappropriate things.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I don't. What do they? I always just called everyone bonita, which is just beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
But that song, Se Pero Junto Ragazo, I would say that. I would sing that to the
They have a lot of reggaeton.
Yes, I would sing it to the makeup artists, and they loved it, and I would flirt with them, and it was fun.
It's a completely different culture, even though it's very close to the United States. I mean, like, people will blare music out their car windows, and it's cool.
Different world.
Yeah. So Disney Channel obviously had their premiere where you walked the red carpet, but what did you do when the movie premiered on TV?
When it actually premiered, well, we did the whole like Good Morning America and The View, and we kind of did all that, which was super fun, and we went to New York and had a little trip there. But on the actual day, I know that they had like a cast party, which I didn't go to. I just had a little party at my house with my friends, because I was like, I want to watch this with all my buddies and all my friends, and I want to see them see it, and kind of had a little party. And my friends came over, and they like made cool drinks and punch and popcorn, and it was all like luau themed, and it was super fun, and they all came in like their swim trunks and stuff, and so it turned out really fun. It was just kind of like a little group of mine, but it was fun. And then got to see, because I got to see the cast every other day after that, and got to spend time with them, so I was like, I want to hang out with my friends and just kind of do that with them, which is really cool.
Yeah. So getting into your next project, It Remains.
Yeah.
This is something that is kind of your baby, and
Right.
you have so many roles in it, from producer to creator, and
Yeah.
you act in it as well. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I think the reason that I wanted to produce my own short film is because as a dancer, I became a better artist when I choreographed and I understood dance more. So I was like, wow, I really am, diving into acting. I really want to understand it and all the aspects of it. So I was just like, I want to produce something. I want to be on the other side. I want to, go through post-production, pre-production, all that kind of stuff, and write it and then, work on the set and all this kind of stuff, and how, just to learn. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. And I did it with I went up to like a camp, like an artist camp or whatever, and kind of like came up with the idea and told
camp?
Yeah, it was like an artist retreat. So I kind of, and I'm
Where
going,
was it?
It's up at Big Bear.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
and so
kinda
it's
cool.
through a church that I go to, so it's like it's really fun. And I'm actually going next week, which will be like a year this week of when I actually came up with the idea. But then I was just like, I want to do this, and so I got with one of my friends, and we did a Kickstarter, and we were like, let's just do it for like $3,000, and we were gonna like finance it ourselves. But I was just like, might as well just go big and see what happens. And I remember we asked for they were like saying 9,000. I asked for 12,000. We ended up getting 20,000. So it was really great response from everybody who
You had
donated.
so much support.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I did like a little It Remains tour where I went to some studios and choreographed there to get some money and some funding for it, which was really fun. And then kind of went from there and just like had the financing, found the director, found the producer. We had to scout locations, and it's basically a story about love and falling in and out of love, and it's kind of intertwined with some really great dancing that's very deep. So it's very grounded in a story, and that's something that I wanted to see, because in so many now currently, we see like the Step Up or the Teen Beach or anything that has to do with dance. It's very positive and colorful and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, I want something a little bit more grounded, a little bit more real, a little bit filled with story, and a little bit darker. So it kind of goes through that, and it's light at times, and it's, kind of falls in love, but then there's also the aftermath of love when it's done irresponsibly, and kind of going through that too. So it was very much a passion project of mine, and that I really was just super excited to tell a story like this. But now we finished it, and now we're kind of going into film festivals and entering into Sundance and all that kind of stuff, and see what kind of happens. And then hopefully soon we'll be releasing it online for all the people who donated to watch it. But it was really fun. I created it with my friend Rose Marziali, so she's a very talented girl, so it was really fun.
And you ended up filming around like July is when you wrapped?
Yeah. We filmed in like 4 days, and it was in Los Angeles.
4 days?
Yeah, it was.
Was it hectic?
It was. I mean, the producer was amazing, so it was timed to a T of when to do shots and this and that and that, and or it was 3 days. It was very short.
Yeah.
But we were working from morning to night. But yeah, it was great. It was a really awesome thing to like see something that you kind of thought of, and then see that you can actually bring all these people together. You can like have crafty, you can have lighting and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like, whoa, I created this. It is
one of the most amazing feelings, like
awesome.
that coming to fruition.
Yeah, and I think that's why we were created to create, and so I think that's really fun, because I feel like we're our best selves when we're actually in a process of being creative, or when we're actually in a process of doing something that we thought of and working hard and seeing it come through. Yeah. So I thought it was one of the most rewarding experiences, I think, thus far of my life.
Did you find any challenges
after,
like you had to wear so many hats?
Yeah, and even afterwards, seeing the final product, I was like, oh, I missed that, or oh, I missed that, or this could have been better, this could have been better.
You're your own worst critic.
Yeah, I was so upset. Like when I first saw it, I was like, this is crap. But then it was just like, okay, you need to calm down, you need to relax. This is your first project you ever did.
And you're so young to have that under your belt. That's such an accomplishment.
Yeah. But I still was like, so there was so many parts where I was just like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Or, but that's what, life's about. It's just about making mistakes and learning from them and trying not to repeat them. Mm-hmm. But it was cool to see that, and, talking to people who have made films before, they're like, you're never going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to be happy then. And I was just like, I guess it's not going to happen. But no, it's cool.
Do you think that there was added pressure since you were in that leadership role?
Yeah, I think that it was a lot of pressure for me, and it made me have to be a leader really quick and really fast because I was dealing with money and was dealing with paying people and all this kind of stuff. And I had some challenges, man. I found out that I wasn't a good leader sometimes, and kind of swallowing that pill and being like, Kent, you messed up. And it was just like, oh, man. But just kind of going through that, and then, you know, the people that I worked with were my friends, which is so hard sometimes, working with your friends, because, you know, there's also a thing that you have to take home after it, and you have to see those people, and you still, you know, go to the same events, or you hang out with the same friends.
When you have to be their boss.
Yeah, and so it's hard to do that, but it was a really great learning process for me. Would I do it again? I don't know.
Really?
I mean, I would for sure make a film, for sure, 100%, but I think I would go about it differently, which I think is the best thing you can take from a thing, is just figure out how you would take it differently. And I'm sure after my second film, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe that didn't work out as good as, you know, there was some great moments in the first one that I didn't have. But, you know, yeah, just being smarter and being like a leader right off the bat, because I think I was, you know, kind of, because I didn't know what I was doing, and so I kind of played that for a bit. I was like, whoa, I have no idea what I'm doing, so you're going to tell me what I'm going to do, and I'm going to listen, where, you know, kind of like quiets the artist inside of you because you think that someone else has more power or more knowledge. And so that's something that I'm learning as well, is that we're all equal and we're all deserving, because I find myself apologizing so much, like, I'm so sorry, am I in your way, or da-da-da. And so I think that's just a part of growing up too.
Stifles you.
Yeah. So it was a cool, you know, that's the best thing about being an artist, is that, you know, it betters your craft, and then it betters you as a human being, because I'm just trying to grow up to be the best human possible.
I think that's what we're all hoping
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
So
I hope so, yeah.
What are you going to be doing when you go up to the camp at Big Bear this time?
Well, I'm working on film again, so I'm
okay.
So
you are doing it again.
Yeah. You're
like, I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but actually this weekend I'm going to be doing it again.
Right. And so I'm just, you know, we kind of make like you get assigned a little group, and you make a little short film there. So you get like 2 days to do it, and then you get to kind of show it at the end. So I have really no idea what's going to happen. Last year I did like improv, and then the year before I did dance, and obviously. And so it's just kind of, you know, I really want to get into like learning more about writing, because writing is something that scares me the most. I absolutely hate it. I hate like punctuations and grammar and like the worst speller in the world. And,
darn Oxford comma.
Yeah. Don't even ask me about a comma. But so yeah, so I think my motto in life is just kind of go after the things you're afraid of, because obviously you're afraid of them for a reason, and fear is sometimes an emotion that can give you strength, you know, because I feel like it's just like one step away from strength, and if you follow it, then you can, you know, gain something from it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not excited, but I'm excited, but I'm not.
So moving forward, what are your goals for the future? You hope to write more, create more?
I want to be in films more, obviously. That's my passion. You know, I'm really interested in plays right now, just because I want to fill up my time, and right now I'm trying to enjoy the work. I'm trying to enjoy class as much, and really just dive into like Shakespeare. I'm working on that right now, and all these things that I kind of missed out in college, and just really do the work. For the future, I would love to be in films that didn't involve dance, that were, you know, strictly just pieces of, you know, art and movies, and but that's the goal. So hopefully, you know, and television's coming up this, you know, guest stars and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully something will click there, and yeah, just auditioning and seeing where it kind of goes. And dancing, I'm obviously still doing. People are just like, don't give up dance. I'm like, I'm not giving up dance. You know, I'm still being an artist, and I think that's the most important thing. But you know, I still go around and tour at dance conventions where I teach, and I get to be with all, you know, the kids who are training, which is a really awesome opportunity for them and for me, because I get to go up in front of like thousands of kids and kind of talk to them and do that. But touring with a couple conventions, Excel in Motion and Hollywood Vibe, which kind of, you know, I'm sure if you go online, there's a city close to you that you can go and attend. But yeah, so yeah, it's kind of like, that's always there, and I'm always doing that.
Yeah. There are a lot of actors or dancers who transitioned into acting successfully, like the Julianne Hough,
right, the Channing Tatums.
Is there a certain person's career who you hope to emulate?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously am a huge fan of kind of like the young male actors, like a Josh Hutcherson in The Hunger Games, or Logan Lerman from Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I kind of love. But
do you get a lot of comparisons to the Zac Efron, since it was the Disney Channel?
Yeah, you know, then there's
musical,
like everyone kind of tries to compare it, but yeah, I always like to explain them as like your kids, you go up to your mom and go, who's your favorite, me or Jared? And they're like, you're two different kids and I love you both the same. And so you can't really compare the kids. But yeah, you kind of get that. And then, the fear of like being stuck in the Disney world and all that kind of stuff. But I just know that, cream rises to the top. So if you do the work and you do everything that you need to do, then eventually your time will come and there's enough pie for everybody. So you're going to get fed. But I'm excited to see if there's a second one. I'm excited to see what kind of Disney has to offer and all that kind of stuff. And what happens, you never know. You just got to be open.
Yeah. So are you in acting classes right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm in like 3.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Okay, well, right now I take like a vocal class to work on like speech and Shakespeare and all that kind of stuff. And then I do a class down in Venice. And then I'm taking an Alexander Technique class starting next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm
you've
no
got
joke.
Your time full pretty much.
Right now it's like a really slow time for me because dance convention season doesn't start up until like fall or like after November. And, you never know like when that happens or if movies or all that kind of stuff happens that wouldn't happen until after the new year. Yeah. So it's just like, wow, I have downtime. And yesterday I took a harmonica lesson.
I heard you play harmonica.
Yes. And so that's like, I love it.
How did you get hooked on that?
Well, my brother always played growing up and then I was just like, whoa, I want to do an instrument. I want to be an instrument. I want to play an instrument. And I was just like, well, what's something simple? And I was like, oh, harmonica. You can keep it in your pocket. And all
Do you
this
have it with
stuff.
you?
I have it in my car.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I think it's the blues and all that kind of stuff is just so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And so I just want to learn how to do that. And like my friends are like, they want to be in a band and want to call it
harmonica.
like Salty Hummus and it's like a folk band. I was like, I want to be in your band. And I just want to learn because I think that's a really awesome thing to kind of intertwine everything is music and all that kind of stuff and learning that and music theory and all that kind of stuff, which is like freaking math to me. But no, I think it's really fun. I'm gonna be good.
Do you sound it out more or do you read music?
Oh, I sound it out for sure.
Okay.
And yeah, because all those like Picardy thirds and the treble clefs, and I was like, what does that mean? Just tell me if I blow in or blow out, on the 4. And one day I'm just gonna be able to like pull it out for you and just.
So you've just been teaching yourself.
What? Teaching what?
Yourself.
Yeah, I have, and now I'm taking lessons.
Okay.
You can go on like YouTube and like do tutorials and all that kind of stuff.
People
but now
they're harmonica lessons.
Oh, it's
That's
not
crazy.
I know I'm
That's
bringing it
pretty
back.
intense.
But you think that it's simple, because there's only 10 holes, but then it's like you breathe in or out, so there's 20 different notes.
And then you can like cover certain
and
ones.
Then I just learned this thing called bending, which I was just like, whoa! So you like do different mouth like and tongue movement to create another note within that note. I was just like, okay. So I thought this was gonna be a lot easier than I thought, but I was like, if Shakir can do it, I can do it. So we'll see. We'll see.
I just played the recorder when I was in 4th grade.
Everybody did, and there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So much Twinkle Twinkle
My
Little
Heart
Star.
Will Go On by
Yeah, Celine.
So when you do get free time other than playing harmonica, what do you do?
Well, I love being outdoors. I love hiking, I love swimming, and I love being active. And most recently, which I love so much, are planting gardens.
Really?
I love being aware and conscious about your health, and I think that it's really important to kind of grow your own food. And it's so funny because I come from agriculture city of America, and I'm coming out here, and I was just like, kind of like, whoa, that's not who I am. But then now I'm out here, I'm like, whoa, I have such a passion for like growing my own tomatoes and corn.
Back to your roots, literally.
Yeah, literally, and like being like kind of just being conscious of like GMOs and permaculture, which is kind of like planting all the essential things for you to sustain by yourself. So you wouldn't have to go to the store. And there's a organization that I just checked out Wednesday, and it's kind of like an after school program, and they teach these kids how to grow organic foods and then how to cook them. And it's not just like peanut butter and jelly, like they cook like gourmet foods.
Really?
And there's these kids that are like in elementary school, and so I really want to like keep being involved in that, which I think is super fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we're to the shameless plug section. So tell us, Twitter handle, it remains, anything that you want to plug.
Yeah. Okay. So my Twitter is at Kent_Boyd, and same for the Instagram is Kent_Boyd. Check out It Remains. There's a website we have. It's www.itremains.com, and then we also have the trailer up online. So you can kind of go through that website and kind of link up with anything other than there. Also, I have a clothing line on Sugar and Bruno that I'm designing, and some new apparel's coming out, so check that out and get your tanks and your tees and your summer gear and your dance stuff on there. And yeah, check out Hollywood Vibe, the dance convention, and Excel in Motion. Excel in Motion kind of kicks off in November, kind of over on the East Coast and up in Massachusetts and all of that. So
Cool.
if you want to see me, go to one of those cities.
So you can find all of the Chatting with Cathy episodes on iTunes and YouTube, as well as all of the AfterBuzz TV after shows. You can follow me on Twitter at Catherine Kelly. And Kent, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.